Welcome, beautiful damsels. The most dangerous person in the room is the one who doesn't care about being seen. In a world obsessed with fitting into neat categories, Sigmas are the ultimate outliers. They defy labels, shatter expectations, and terrify those who cling to the familiar. Did you know studies show that people fear unpredictability more than outright aggression? It's true. Humans are wired to dread what they can't understand or control, and nothing, absolutely nothing, is harder to grasp than a Sigma. Think about it. They don't chase clout, they don't need approval, and they couldn't care less about climbing the social ladder. In fact, they might not even see the ladder. It's just a waste of wood to them. This refusal to play the game leaves everyone else scrambling to figure out their next move, like trying to beat a chess master who doesn't even like chess. So why are Sigmas feared but never understood? It's because they're living proof that you can walk through the chaos of life without needing the map everyone else is fighting over and somehow still end up 10 steps ahead. Buckle up, because we're diving deep into the enigma of Sigmas, where mystery meets mastery. Number 1. They don't need the tribe, and the tribe knows it. Sigmas don't need the tribe, and the tribe knows it. That's what makes them so unsettling. In a world where most people rely on groups to define who they are, Sigmas operate independently, carving their own paths without needing the safety net of collective validation. It's not arrogance, it's self-sufficiency. They don't reject the tribe out of rebellion. They simply don't need it to feel whole. This independence sends an unspoken message that unnerves people. I can survive and thrive without you. It's not just that Sigmas don't conform to social hierarchies, it's that their lives prove those hierarchies aren't as necessary as people think. For those who've built their entire identity around fitting in or being somebody within a group, this realization can feel like a threat. The tribe notices this too, even if subconsciously. They see that the Sigma doesn't seek approval, isn't desperate for belonging, and won't bend to group dynamics to fit in. This makes Sigmas unpredictable, and unpredictability breeds fear. A Sigma won't play by the unwritten rules of social engagement, and that terrifies those who rely on these rules to feel secure. What's even more intriguing is how Sigmas aren't hostile or dismissive of the tribe. They'll interact when necessary, but it's on their terms. They value relationships not as a lifeline, but as a choice. This is what truly unsettles people. The realization that the Sigma chooses to engage or walk away without hesitation. There's no neediness, no strings attached. The tribe knows that without the Sigma, it goes on unchanged. But without the tribe, the Sigma is completely fine. That dynamic, being needed without needing, is why they're both feared and never fully understood. Number 2, they're intellectually fearless. Sigmas are intellectually fearless, and that makes them stand out in a world where most people avoid uncomfortable truths like the plague. While others stay within the bounds of what's socially acceptable, Sigmas willingly dive into the depths of complex, challenging, and often controversial ideas. They ask the questions no one else dares to ask and explore answers that others are too afraid to consider. This intellectual bravery doesn't come from a place of arrogance. It comes from an insatiable curiosity and a refusal to accept things at face value. Sigmas see through the comforting stories society tells itself to keep things running smoothly. They know that blindly following widely accepted ideas is often just a way to avoid the hard work of thinking critically. Their courage to confront these truths often makes people uncomfortable. Most individuals prefer the security of their illusions, the belief that the world is neat, predictable, and governed by simple rules. When a Sigma dismantles these illusions with facts, logic, and sharp insight, it can feel like an attack. In truth, it's not personal. Sigmas are more focused on understanding the world than on sparing feelings. This fearless pursuit of truth alienates them from those who cling to comforting delusions. People might label them as too intense or difficult because their presence challenges the status quo. But for Sigmas, the discomfort is worth it. They'd rather stand alone in the light of truth than live in the shadow of collective ignorance. And this is where the fear comes in. People fear what they don't understand, and they fear even more the ones who hold up a mirror to their comfortable lies. A Sigma isn't just an independent thinker. They're a catalyst for change. And change, as we all know, terrifies most. Number 3, they redefine what it means to be feared. Sigmas redefine fear in a way that leaves people intrigued and unsettled. They aren't feared because they intimidate with aggression, assert dominance, or even demand attention. Instead, their power comes from their ability to quietly disrupt the status quo, challenge societal norms, and redefine expectations, all without trying to. A Sigma's presence alone is enough to shake people out of their comfort zones, not because they want to create chaos, but because their existence questions everything people thought was secure. While most individuals conform to societal rules or fight aggressively to impose their will, Sigmas operate on an entirely different frequency. They don't engage in overt confrontations or power plays. They simply move through life with a quiet defiance, showing that there's another way to succeed, think, and live. This silent rebellion is what truly unnerves people. Sigmas prove that you don't need to follow the herd or shout the loudest to have influence. You can dismantle expectations simply by refusing to be bound by them. Their detachment only amplifies this effect. Sigmas don't need validation, approval, or recognition. This independence terrifies those who rely on control or conformity to maintain their own sense of power. When people realize they can't manipulate, guilt, or outmaneuver a Sigma, they're left feeling powerless, and powerlessness breeds fear. What makes Sigmas even more unsettling is that they don't seek to disrupt, they just do. Their authenticity, self-reliance, and refusal to compromise force others to confront uncomfortable truths about themselves and the world around them. They redefine fear not as something loud and forceful, but as a quiet, undeniable shift in perspective, leaving others to question their own foundations in the face of such unshakable individuality. Number 4, their worldview is untranslatable. A Sigma's worldview is a mystery that few can understand, let alone articulate. They process life through a perspective that operates on a wavelength most people can't tune into. While others see the surface of situations, Sigmas delve deeper, spotting connections, motives, and underlying truths that go unnoticed by the majority. Their minds work in a way that feels foreign, almost alien, to those around them, creating a sense of awe, respect, and even fear. What makes this otherness so unique is how naturally it comes to them. Sigmas don't set out to be enigmatic or complex. It's simply how they are wired. They question what others accept without hesitation. They see patterns in chaos, motivations behind actions, and truths that often make people uncomfortable. This ability to look beyond the obvious makes them both insightful and unsettling. Others may find themselves wondering, what do they see that I'm missing? And that uncertainty can be intimidating. This gap in understanding creates an invisible barrier between Sigmas and the world. People can admire their intelligence and clarity, but struggle to connect with their depth. It's not that Sigmas are unapproachable, it's that their thought process is untranslatable. For those who cling to conventional thinking, this difference can feel like an unbridgeable divide, sparking feelings of inferiority or unease. Ultimately, Sigmas are walking paradoxes, grounded yet visionary, relatable yet inaccessible. They inspire and unsettle in equal measure because their unique lens on life challenges others to think beyond their limits. For those unprepared to see the world through a Sigma's eyes, this otherness can be as intimidating as it is awe-inspiring. Number 5, their success is quiet but unstoppable. Sigmas have a way of achieving success that is as quiet as it is unstoppable. While most people are busy broadcasting their every move, seeking applause or validation, Sigmas are quietly working behind the scenes, letting their results speak for themselves. This low-key approach not only sets them apart, but also leaves others scratching their heads, wondering how they accomplished so much without anyone noticing. The secret lies in their focus. Sigmas aren't distracted by the need for recognition or the pressure to conform to conventional paths of achievement. They don't waste time trying to impress others or prove their worth. Instead, they channel their energy into meaningful goals, often operating in solitude where they can think deeply and work efficiently. This approach unsettles people who thrive on external validation. In a society that rewards visibility over substance, the Sigma's preference for staying in the shadows feels almost alien. How can someone succeed without self-promotion? For the Sigma, the answer is simple. Success isn't about being seen, it's about getting results. And get results they do. By the time people notice a Sigma's success, it's often too late to compete. Their progress is steady, deliberate, and strategic, leaving little room for others to catch up. This quiet dominance can intimidate those who rely on public attention to measure their own success. Sigmas don't need applause to validate their efforts, which makes them even more difficult to understand. They're like a storm building quietly on the horizon, silent but undeniably powerful. By the time they arrive, the impact is unavoidable, and everyone is left wondering how they missed the signs. It's not that the Sigma was hiding. It's just that they were too focused on achieving to care who was watching. Number 6, they possess an unshakable internal compass. Sigmas operate with an unshakable internal compass, guided by their own principles rather than the shifting tides of external expectations. While most people are heavily influenced by societal norms, peer pressure, or the need to please others, Sigmas make decisions rooted in their core beliefs. This level of self-assurance can be both inspiring and intimidating, especially to those who thrive on manipulation or control. To a manipulative individual, a Sigma is like an immovable object. Guilt trips, emotional blackmail, or subtle coercion bounce off them like raindrops on armor. It's not that Sigmas are cold or indifferent, it's that they've done the inner work to know exactly who they are and what they stand for. They aren't easily swayed because they've already thought deeply about their values and priorities, and their decisions reflect that clarity. This autonomy creates a sense of unpredictability that many find unnerving. People who are used to pulling strings and influencing outcomes quickly realize they're powerless against a Sigma's resolve. A Sigma doesn't conform to someone else's narrative, doesn't cave under pressure, and certainly doesn't act out of fear of disapproval. What's fascinating is how calm they remain under pressure. They don't argue or explain themselves excessively. They simply stick to their path, unbothered by others' attempts to redirect them. This quiet confidence isn't just a shield, it's a fortress. And for those who rely on controlling others to feel powerful, the impenetrability of a Sigma is nothing short of terrifying. Ultimately, a Sigma's internal compass doesn't just guide them, it defines them. It's not about being rebellious for its own sake, but about living authentically. And in a world where authenticity is rare and often misunderstood, it's little wonder they're both feared and admired. Number 7, they make people question themselves. Being in the presence of a Sigma is like standing in front of an unflinching mirror. Their authenticity, independence, and self-assured nature naturally reflect back on others, often exposing insecurities, limitations, and inconsistencies people would rather ignore. Sigmas don't set out to make anyone uncomfortable, but their very existence challenges the status quo, and that's enough to spark internal conflict in those around them. People who are used to conforming to societal expectations or hiding behind facades may feel exposed in the company of a Sigma. Sigmas don't play by the same unspoken rules, and their ability to live authentically forces others to question the masks they wear. They're not intentionally confrontational, but their unapologetic honesty has a way of highlighting what others avoid addressing in themselves. This mirror effect can go two ways. For some, it's a wake-up call. Being around a Sigma might inspire them to reflect, grow, and embrace their own truths. These individuals see the Sigma as a source of strength and a reminder that it's possible to live life on your own terms. For others, however, the reaction is far less positive. When confronted with the gap between who they are and who they pretend to be, some people respond with resentment or fear. It's easier to project those feelings onto the Sigma than to face uncomfortable truths about themselves. They might label the Sigma as intimidating, arrogant, or even cold, anything to avoid admitting the real source of their discomfort. Ultimately, a Sigma doesn't need to say or do anything extraordinary to provoke this response. Their grounded presence is enough to challenge others to look inward, and while some rise to that challenge, others recoil from it. Either way, The sigma remains unshaken, unaffected by how others choose to interpret their reflection. Number 8. They're unpredictably strategic. Sigmas have a way of keeping people on edge, and it's not because they're trying to be mysterious, it's because they operate on a completely different wavelength. Their strategic minds are like puzzles no one else can solve. While others stick to predictable patterns and play by the established rules, Sigmas forge their own path, often outmaneuvering everyone around them without breaking a sweat. What makes them truly unsettling is the element of unpredictability. They don't broadcast their intentions or follow conventional timelines. This isn't out of secrecy but efficiency. Sigmas act when it makes sense to them, not when others expect them to. This calculated independence throws off people who rely on predictability to feel in control or maintain power. You can't manipulate someone who doesn't play by your rules or care about your timelines. Their strategies are precise, but they aren't rigid. Sigmas adapt quickly to changing circumstances, thinking several steps ahead while remaining flexible. They don't rush to prove a point or dominate a situation. They let their quiet, deliberate actions speak for themselves. This is why their moves often feel like they came out of nowhere. They weren't sudden, they were just so well planned that no one saw them coming. This ability to combine adaptability with long-term strategy makes them impossible to pin down. People who thrive on controlling others find this deeply unsettling because there's no way to anticipate what a Sigma will do next. They're not predictable, not because they're chaotic, but because they're always thinking beyond the obvious. Sigmas don't play the game to win someone else's approval. They play to achieve their goals, and they do so with precision, patience, and a level of focus that leaves everyone else scrambling to catch up. Number 9, they are masters of controlled chaos. Sigmas are masters of controlled chaos. While most people crumble under pressure or let their emotions take the wheel when things get tough, Sigmas remain eerily calm. Their ability to stay composed in the most chaotic situations isn't just impressive, it's unnerving. When the world around them is falling apart, Sigmas are like a steady hand on the wheel, navigating through the storm with precision and ease. This remarkable composure often draws admiration from those who witness it, especially in situations where others might panic, lash out, or make hasty decisions. But the real power of a Sigma lies in their ability to not just survive chaos, but to thrive in it. They see unpredictability as an opportunity, not a threat. While others are frantically scrambling for answers, Sigmas are calmly assessing the situation, knowing that their calmness is their greatest asset. What's fascinating is how this ability to handle chaos can provoke fear in others. People who can't cope with unpredictability or who feel out of control when the pressure's on often view a Sigma's calm demeanor as a sign of something more, perhaps a level of detachment or even coldness they can't understand. To them, a Sigma's lack of reaction feels like a mystery, and mysteries make people uneasy. The truth is, Sigmas don't need to react in the same way as everyone else. They don't need to scream, panic, or make a scene to feel in control. Their control is internal, and that's what makes them so unsettling to those who rely on external factors to feel safe or validated. When the chaos around them reaches its peak, a Sigma is already several steps ahead, orchestrating the next move with a quiet, calculated confidence. This isn't about being unfeeling, it's about being supremely self-assured in the face of what others fear most, uncertainty. Number 10, they refuse to engage in power plays. Sigmas don't engage in power plays. While others are busy scrambling for dominance, vying for attention, or trying to climb the social ladder, Sigmas stand back and observe. They don't care about being at the top of any hierarchy or winning approval from those who seek to control. Their indifference to the typical power struggles that define social interactions is what makes them so unmanageable and, to many, deeply intimidating. In environments where competition is key, whether it's in the workplace, social circles, or even romantic relationships, Sigmas don't play by the rules. They don't need to be the loudest, the most visible, or the most influential, because they know that true power doesn't need to be flaunted. They understand that dominance is often an illusion, a game that keeps people distracted while others, like them, sit back and quietly gain influence. This refusal to engage in power struggles makes them unpredictable. While others jockey for position or try to manipulate outcomes, Sigmas focus on what truly matters to them: their principles, their goals, and their own growth. The result is a kind of quiet mastery that leaves people wondering how they've achieved so much without even breaking a sweat. Those who thrive on control and power find this incredibly unsettling. To them, Sigmas are a puzzle, unpredictable, unaffected, and seemingly immune to the usual methods of influence. They can't be manipulated, coerced, or guilted into playing along. This makes them appear unmanageable, and in the eyes of power-hungry individuals, it also makes them a serious threat. Sigmas don't need to compete for power because they've already mastered the art of being above the game. They are the ones watching, observing, and adapting, while others fight for control, making them far more dangerous than anyone who's just trying to win the power struggle. In the end, Sigmas aren't just feared because of what they do, they're feared because of who they are. Their silence, unpredictability, and refusal to engage in the conventional power games make them a constant enigma to those around them. They exist outside the boundaries that others are so desperate to conform to, and that's what makes them both elusive and terrifying. While the world tries to fit everyone into a mold, Sigmas forge their own path with a quiet confidence that forces people to confront their own limitations. What truly sets them apart is that they don't need approval, validation, or social dominance to thrive. They operate on their own terms, guided by an internal compass that's unwavering and unshakable. In a world where most people are stuck chasing external validation, Sigmas remain untouchable, carving out their own space with an elegance and control that others can't replicate. Their power lies not in how loudly they proclaim it, but in how silently they wield it. They make no need for dramatic gestures or grandiose displays because they know their strength is found in their restraint. And because they don't fit the mold of what society expects, people are forced to question everything they thought they knew about power, influence, and success. Sigmas may be feared, but they're never truly understood, and that's exactly how they like it. They've created their own rules, and in a world obsessed with following the crowd, they'll always remain a step ahead, unpredictable, unbreakable, and undeniably powerful. If you've made it this far, then you're not just fascinated by Sigmas. You're ready to break free from the conventional, to step into a world where power, independence, and self-mastery are your own to define. If you're craving more insights that challenge the status quo, dive deep into the mindset of the extraordinary and unlock the truths that others won't dare to speak, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Join the movement of those who refuse to be understood, who thrive on their own terms, and who are ready to redefine the rules. Don't just watch from the sidelines. Be part of something bigger. Subscribe now and let's keep this journey going. Stay ahead, stay Sigma. Thanks, damsels, for tuning in. See you in the next vid. Bye and stay blessed.